Hey everybody, it's Nicholas Rogers with the Colorado 2A Network, your source of everything 2A and everything Colorado. And boy, do we have a video for you. Man, we just can't catch a break here in the great state of Colorado. We thought SB 25003 was bad, but are you aware of the other 12 bills that we need to be keeping an eye on that our House representatives and senators are trying to shove down our throats? Now, granted, some of them aren't bad. Some of them we need to be in favor of. But boy, when did Colorado get the new hobby of trying to pass gun control measures? I don't know. This is kind of nuts. So anyways, you're all familiar with the SB 25003 semi-automatic weapons ban, which, unless you're willing to go through some sort of state-sanctioned training, pass a test, pay to get fingerprinted, pay to be put into a registration, pay to get a Floyd card, you won't be able to purchase semi-automatic rifles or shotguns or gas-operated pistols. And yeah, I don't plan on bending the knee to the state for that one. So we are trying to fight that one with everything that we have. Additionally, Senate Bill 25034, the voluntary do not sell firearms waiver. And it voluntarily waives the right to purchase a firearm. Essentially, it's a self-read flag law. I'm kind of neutral on this one, where I think maybe people like Tom Sullivan, if this passes into law, should be able to say, hey, I shouldn't be able to own a firearm, and then he would be put on a list, and then he couldn't own a firearm, right? Or purchase a firearm. Next up, we have House Bill 251062, penalty for theft of firearms. Well, exactly what is this going to do? It will make theft of a firearm a Class 6 felony regardless of the firearm's value. Subsequent violations, including multiple firearms stolen in the same criminal incident, are separate Class 5 felonies. So, Colorado Republicans tried to pass something similar to this last year. It did not pass. However, from people that have been sitting in the congressional hearings, there really is no opposition to this bill this year. So this is probably one that I do support. If you steal a gun from me and you get busted, it will be a felony for you, which means if you get convicted of a felony, that is prison time, not jail time, and also you won't be able to purchase a firearm for the rest of your life. Okay, what do we have up next? House Bill 251055, the repeal firearm dealer requirements and state permit. So this essentially will repeal the requirements that a firearm dealers have to have a state permit, which is a new $400 tax that Colorado passed last year onto all FFLs in the state. So we have Republicans trying to repeal that, saying it's going to be too big of a burden on mom and pop gun shops, which I agree. I'm in opposition, or I am in support of that one. Up next, House Bill 251133, which is the ammo and hand loading components regulations bill. If you watch my other video, you know a lot about this. Essentially, this is going to do four things. First thing that it's going to do is change the definition of ammunition from being a loaded cartridge in the state of Colorado to being a loaded cartridge as well as any components that make up that cartridge. So the primer, the casing, the gunpowder, and the bullet. That's the first thing it's going to do. Second thing it's going to do is raise the legal purchase age of ammunition from 18 to 21 for all ammo and all hand loading components, which is going to really kind of suck if, let's say, you're in the military, you're stationed out here, or you're 19, and you have a wife and kids, and you live in a house, and you want to go deer hunting, but you can't buy any ammunition or hand-loading components. Another thing that it's going to do as well is make it so you cannot self-serve at a retail store or a gun shop. If you would like to buy some ammunition or hand-loading components, you will not be able to walk up and grab the box. A retail worker will have to do that for you. And fourth, which is probably the most ambiguously written portion of this bill, which is probably going to cause the biggest pain in the ass for firearms dealers and FFLs here in the state that sell ammunition, is that a box of ammo being shipped into the state cannot have any discerning markings on the box that would let somebody know that there's ammunition in it. And according to federal law, if you are shipping loaded ammunition, primers, or gunpowder into any state or around anywhere in the United States, it must be marked with a hazmat sticker. Additionally, if you are driving a commercial truck and you are shipping ammunition or ammunition components, on the shipping slip, it must say that there are ammo components or ammunition in the box. So if this bill passes in its current form, this could prevent any sort of ammunition being shipped into the state to go to gun shops or for private purchase being delivered to your house. Another thing that it's going to do too with the delivery is make it a misdemeanor for a delivery company or the delivery driver if they do not check the identification, a state-issued ID of the person at the house, verifying that that person is 21 years or older. Kind of funny coming from a state that has 0 voter ID laws where they say it's not right to ask for an identification to vote in our state elections or federal election. But you got to prove that you're 21 with the state-issued ID in order to receive ammunition to your house. And this is also causing some issues now with FedEx and UPS because they're talking about if this bill passes, they do not want to run the risk of their drivers receiving a misdemeanor charge because they did not check an identification. So they might not allow ammo delivery in this state at all. So stay tuned for HB 251133 and the status of that bill. Up next, House Bill 251128, which is the income tax credit for firearm safety devices. Now, this bill has been amended, but essentially what it will do is create a new income tax credit equal to the purchase price of a firearm safety device, such as a gun safe. It has been amended down to a max amount that you can receive on your income tax return is $200. So if you purchase a $3,000 gun safe from Shields, you will get a $200 tax income credit when you file your taxes. Okay, what else do we have? HB 251164, constitutional carry of handguns. I am in support of this, but it's not going to pass. Essentially, it would enact the legal right to carry a handgun without a permit in public. Plus, it would also lower the age to be able to carry a handgun to 18. Essentially, it would do away with Colorado's conceal and carry license as being a requirement to be able to conceal and carry. Plus, it would allow 18, 19, and 20-year-olds to be able to conceal and carry legally in the state of Colorado. I am all for it, but according to Article 2, Section 13 of the Colorado Constitution, conceal and carry is explicitly called out as not being part of your right to bear arms in this great state. So I think in order for this to pass, we would actually have to vote as Coloradans to amend Article 2, Section 13 to remove that portion which says that conceal and carry is not part of your right to bear arms. Up next, we have House Bill 251250, Gun Violence Prevention and Parents of Students. I'm in opposition of this. So essentially, it will require the Colorado Office of Gun Violence in the Department of Public Health and Environment to post the office's gun violence prevention materials in an accessible manner on the office's website for school districts. In a nutshell, from what I've read about this bill, is if you have a kid in kindergarten through 12th grade, the school will be obligated to give your children anti-gun material, explaining how guns are dangerous and should not be handled. And there is potentially some more nefarious stuff that might come with this. Kind of like, hey, do your parents have firearms and they're not keeping them locked up in a safe? Let us know. And then the state might come after the parents. That is my speculation as to what they're trying to do with this. But I am in opposition of this. I think schools should be teaching children about firearms, but it should be firearm safety. I think a state-certified firearm safety instructor should be able to go into a school, it should be encouraged, and teach children how to handle firearms safely. That way, if they encounter them in the wild, they would know what to do with them. Especially if there's not an adult nearby. They would know how to clear a firearm, make sure it's not loaded, put it into a safe place, not point it at anything that potentially could be harmed by that firearm. That's my personal opinion, but I'm old school, I guess. Okay, House Bill 251238, Gun Show Requirements. Establish a new regulation for gun shows in Colorado. It sets requirements for gun show promoters and vendors, including security measures. So there's a lot of stuff to kind of unpack from this. There's speculation about what they're trying to get with this about gun shows, but essentially a lot of it's already enacted. Like, you have to follow a 3-day wait period. So if I go to a gun show, and I purchase a firearm, I still have to wait 3 days to pick up that firearm, which kind of defeats the purpose of going to a gun show, right? Additionally, I've seen some rumors that they actually want to make it, if you are a vendor at a gun show, you have to have an FFL, even if you're not selling firearms. So if, like, you're selling knives or accessories, you have to have an FFL. I need to get confirmation on that, but that would be ridiculous, right? Making the hot dog guy have a FFL just to sell you a hot dog and soda. Anyways, okay, up next, House Bill 25-1225, Intimidation in Elections Rules. Essentially, creates new laws expanding the definition of election-related activities, and criminalizes gun owners who may interact with others about elections, including law enforcement. Interesting. So it's an anti-intimidation bill where they are expanding the definition of polling places and ballot drop-offs, and you cannot open carry or brandish a firearm in intimidation of other voters, which pretty much is already on the books. This is just an expansion. It's kind of ridiculous. That's already illegal to intimidate somebody with a firearm. But I guess somebody just needs an easy win, right? Okay, House Bill 25-1232, liability when means of self-defense prohibited. And this will create a liability for harm suffered on another's property when a person is not allowed the means to defend themselves on that property. So, I've looked into this one, and essentially, in a nutshell, if, let's say, you go to a retail store and they say no firearms permitted, and you legally have a conceal and carry license, and so you're like, well, I'm going to follow their rules, I'm going to go back, put my firearm into its lockbox in the vehicle, you go inside the store, and then in walks a robber who obviously didn't follow the gun-free zone sign, and you get hurt in the robbery, you can then sue the store for preventing you from being able to defend yourself. I think that this has a lot of good, but also it carries some bad with it too, right? It's one of those things where if a private business doesn't want to allow you to carry a firearm, that is their right to say no. But it's also your right to say, I'm not going to shop there. Now, where I could see this becoming potentially good is state buildings, federal buildings. If you can't carry into a state or a federal building and you have to go there, you have to go to the DMV, right? Which technically you can conceal and carry at the DMV. But let's say it's like the Social Security office or another office that says no firearms allowed, and then you get injured at one of those locations, then you should probably be able to sue. But then that's going to put the burden on the people of the state. So I don't know. I'm indifferent on this one. I get what they're trying to do, but not sure if I'm 100% on board yet. House or Senate Bill 25-158, State Agency Procurement and Disposal of Weapons. So this will limit the number of firearms Colorado residents. Nope, wrong one. Okay. So, all right, Senate Bill 25-158, State Agency Procurement and Disposal of Weapons. Oh, cool. So Sean Steele with the Colorado FFL Association. I will put his organization's website in this video description below with some other Pro 2A organizations I want you to support. Explain this one to me, because this is actually telling police officers and sheriffs that when their firearms have expired and they need to be traded in for money so they can purchase new firearms for their police force or sheriff force, they can no longer do that. They will actually have to destroy all of their firearms. And they will not be able to trade them in or sell them to raise money to purchase new firearms for their departments. Why? That's a great question. I had that same question. The Senator Sullivan, who actually sponsored this, as well as Senator Gonzalez, surprise, surprise, those two are the main sponsors for SB 25003, have a report, and I wonder where they got this from, that says police firearms that are traded in are more likely to be used in crimes than any other firearms sold to like a pawn shop or a gun store. Where did they get that statistic from? That's something that I want to see the source and find out if it's credible, because that sounds like lunacy. How, if the police department trades in a firearm for new guns, does a criminal have like radar or something when they go into a gun shop or a pawn store where they're like, looking for gun, oh, used police gun, must use this in crime? Like, how would somebody know out of all of the used guns that was a used police officer's gun and they should use it in a crime? I think that's a bullshit statistic. Okay, now the last but not least, and one that's probably going to piss off a lot of people, it has not been assigned a House bill number yet. So it's going to be House Bill 25XXX, whatever that number is. It's being sponsored by Congressman Woodrow, and it's still to be determined where it's going to go in the House for the committee hearing. But it is the firearms purchase limit, which will limit the number of firearms Colorado residents can purchase each month. You can't make this stuff up, folks. I don't get these Colorado politicians. Like, SB 25003 is bad enough, but add in all the rest of this. We got a lot of work to do, Colorado. We got a lot of emails to write. So in the video description below, I will post some links for the senator list members, list of senator members, as well as the list of congressional members. And we need to be writing all of them and letting them know this is too much. Enough's enough, right? That they need to find a new hobby. I mean, come on. Find a new hobby, folks. But anyways, hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. The Colorado 2A Network is going to end up being the home of the Big Timber Political 2A news here soon. But I'm just building the channel up. So until next time, folks, let's get to work.